I'm going to go ahead and get started. First of all, thank you everyone for having me. I'm excited to be here today, kicking off our forum. My name is Lorna, and I lead 3D visualization strategy at MillerKnoll. I've always been a big ideas person, a disruptor, and someone who never accepts the quote, way we've always done it. I've now worked at companies of all different sizes, attempting to innovate and turn those ideas into reality. I actually started out with a degree in interior architecture and design, specializing in 3D visualization. At the time, and I won't name what time, that meant HD and 360 renderings and animated fly-throughs. As we began to see AR and VR enter the scene, I adjusted my career path and moved into marketing. I wanted to be at the forefront of every new feature and capability that I could bring to my companies for visualization. And after volunteering for every possible opportunity when it came to new technology, I became a director of innovation. I now have over a decade of experience leading innovation efforts for contract design dealers and customers. And at MillerKnoll, I'm completely focused on emerging technology and 3D visualization efforts. And what I've learned is that to accomplish anything at scale, it's not just about planting the seeds of new ideas. It's about being able to zoom out above the trees and study the shape of the forest. So today, I'm going to share with you a little bit about our visualization journey at my company and the nitty-gritty back-end work that it takes to execute a big idea behind the beautiful visualizations you can see on our site. So what I really want to focus on is how the work we are doing today will enable the creation of new immersive experiences of the future, and what we already know that we'll need to make that a reality. Now that I've told you a bit about myself and what I'll be sharing today, I'd like to introduce you to MillerKnoll. We are a collective of dynamic brands and one of the largest and most influential modern design companies in the world. We are the result of a deep legacy of design, innovation, and social good. MillerKnoll was created in 2021 from the combination of Herman Miller and Knoll and includes brands like DWR, Hay, Maharam, Muto, Geiger, and many more. Guided by a shared vision, common values, and steadfast commitment to design, MillerKnoll innovates and designs the future for all the places where life happens, while contributing to a more equitable and sustainable future for all. At MillerKnoll, we know that there's a lot of value in being able to specify and visualize exactly what you're going to receive in your order. 3D configuration is part of our overall digital experience portfolio, and it's very important for us to have visualization at the front of how we present our products. We tried many things related to 3D visualization over the past few years, and what became increasingly clear is that the back end matters a lot. Our initial focus was on getting the materials, visuals, and user interface right, which is super important because that's what people see. But once those visuals were perfected, we realized that we needed a more powerful and adaptable backend to manage entire catalogs across different channels. This is where we start to get into that nitty-gritty. MillerKnoll sells products to both retail and contract clients, each with a different subset of configurable options. There can actually be as many as 6,000 possible options for a single contract chair. We learned that building a beautiful front-end solution isn't enough. The ability to manage our 3D assets and to build, maintain, and scale these product configurators is what will empower us to deliver a new best-in-class standard for 3D visualization. We needed a data-driven solution that allows us to make specialized versions of configurators to quickly spin up alternate options for different sales channels and regional markets, and then reuse materials across all of those subsets, all without being dependent on a fixed release schedule. Earlier this year, in partnership with Markson, and after a lot of hard work, we launched a new code-free system for building and maintaining consumer-facing, web-based 3D product configurators for furniture, all powered by the 3D cloud. With the goal of creating a system that was equally beautiful and efficient, we worked closely with Markson to develop a completely code-free, self-service configurator of product configurators. This approach empowers non-technical contributors to manage, publish, and maintain complex new 3D product configurators in the CMS with unprecedented speed, reducing the time to market for new products and enabling our developers to focus on integrations and innovations instead of publishing. Once published, the self-service code-free product configurators provide a high-definition, real-time customization experience. It also supports SKU resolution and simplifies maintenance. This past spring, 3D product configurators built with the app were launched in select Herman Miller retail stores. The configurators are now available for our top performance seating products via the hermanmiller.com contract website in the US and are expected to roll out to additional US and international sites over the next 18 months, serving consumers and international markets in mid-2023. At MillerKnoll, we're a collective, so whatever tool we ended up utilizing needed to be data agnostic so that it could function with any brand's product data. Markson's 3D Cloud really enables us to continue to grow across all of these products and into any brands that need the ability. So this new system empowers a single person to update and publish fearlessly across brands without the need of a developer. As our Chief Digital Officer, Ben Groom, recently said, the ability to create and maintain accurate, beautiful 3D product configuration experiences with ease across the enterprise is meaningful. It brings efficiency and scale to our vision for next generation customer experiences. Technology requires good design to be good technology. Setting up this strong, well-designed foundation with Markson's 3D Cloud prepares us not only to implement AR for our audiences, but also for everything else that's about to come next. We don't know exactly what the future will look like or how we will specifically utilize these assets yet. But what we do know is that we're planting the trees today for what will inevitably be our tomorrow. I recently attended SIGGRAPH, where I got to spend time with the foremost leading experts on Web3, the people that are actually making things happen. It was electrifying, exciting, and also absolutely terrifying. I was so nervous, and I felt like I was entering the building already behind everyone else. It's only a little intimidating. But one of the first things that the first speaker of the day said was that the metaverse is not yet built or defined, and we don't have all the answers. I immediately breathed a huge sigh of relief, and I hope you do too. We don't need to know it all yet, but here's what I do know. Across every single market, trends and adoption of technologies are different, but one thing is clear. These immersive experiences are becoming more and more central to how we live and work. We are knee-deep in this revolution every day, working to build and solidify our foundations in preparation. Having lived the experience of launching a massive project at a high-end retailer who really cares about visualization and representation, we can already see how our business needs are tied to 3D and emerging technologies. And though many parts of these immersive experiences still remain undefined, there are things we already do know that we'll need as we look forward to making product configuration in Web3 a reality, which is what I'd really like to focus on for the remainder of our short time together today. Everyone seems to have a bit of a different definition of the metaverse, which I love, but what everyone can seem to agree upon is that real-time 3D content is the foundation of Web3. Many experts and creatives, including author Neil Stephenson, have expressed the importance of governance moving forward. And by governance, I simply mean anything related to rights management of 3D content. We already know that these assets will need a chain of different versions with an approval process by the artists or publishers for different regions or environments in the metaverse. Creators and companies will need to have smart digital contracts on assets with fair and transparent compensation. In this regard, as well as many others, we need to learn from the mistakes of Web 2. If I sell you a piece of content that I own and create, and then you turn around and use it in a creation you sell, is that allowed? If not, how do we prevent it? What happens if I create an experience utilizing your asset that I purchased, but then charge people to come enjoy it? What if the content violates real-world IP rights, like it has Donald Duck on it? What happens if I simply steal the idea by copying content from some other user? In a world where there is perhaps no central authority, who is it that enforces the rules that are needed for a healthy metaverse to exist? What are the technical mechanisms that are needed to even support governance? And how does a real economy with real money at stake further complicate this? We don't know these answers yet, but we do know that 3D asset governance will be a vital part of moving forward. And one of the many reasons that we'll need this governance is that we already know our goal is to share our content as widely as possible across different audiences. We know that we want to enable 3D shopping experiences by connecting the physical and digital worlds and gain the ability to simulate anything for smarter products. Experts have already hypothesized that in order for a 3D asset to go viral, it needs several things. First, it must be easily shareable across experiences, as easily shareable as copy-paste. It must also be collaboratively modifiable, a way for users to interact and customize it for themselves and then reshare again. And finally, it must be portable and consistent across devices and platforms. This video is from a luxury fashion brand, mostly heard, rarely seen, who's teamed up with High Street. Their goal is to guide the crypto unfamiliar customer base of fashion retailers into Web3 culture. By scanning a QR code sewn into the garment, the user is taken through a few steps that will digitally clone the shopper along with their purchased apparel into the High Street metaverse experience. Shoppers can also establish a permanent record of their ownership of this drop by minting their product into NFT, establishing a provenance behind the drop and giving access to resale markets in the digital world. If we want our assets to go viral and be interoperable across these different devices and experiences, we know that universal file formats will be critical. While exact file types have not yet been determined, many believe that USD is a top contender. The USD evolution needs data durability, authoring, shading, and materials included, and portable behavior and interactivity to support compatibility. Content compatibility in the metaverse will mean seamless travel of content between experiences, and this challenge can be looked at on many different axes. Jeff Peterson, principal engineer at AWS, has outlined some of these challenges, and I'm going to share just a few. So the first is visual. That's the meshes, textures, and shaders, which surprisingly is actually the easiest to solve. Functional compatibility is how content behaves and can be interacted with by users. And platform compatibility means that content is compatible with different platforms, and cloud rendering can really be a game changer here. Backward compatibility simply means making sure that all of this content still works when systems change and update. And interoperable compatibility is what I mentioned earlier. So making content shareable and then managing content dependencies and permissions across all of our assets. A huge part of making content shareable is ensuring that, number one, it is accessible. This is also one of our main goals at MillerKnoll, and we are fully committed to providing an accessible digital experience for everyone. So we know that we need the metaverse to be open. Guido Caroni, Director of Engineering at Adobe, defines open as accessible, inclusive, and reproducible. So accessible from anywhere in the world, sustainable at low bandwidth, and from multiple surfaces or devices. It is multisensory and sustainable at low compute. And open means inclusive, so everybody is welcome. There is no need to pay to visit and no pressure to stay or leave. And open means reproducible, so interoperable assets that work between environments, compatible with creators' tools, and available as open source components that are standardized, so smaller companies and individuals can build too. So how do we use standards to support diverse implementations? The metaverse will be a mix of web connectivity with the immersiveness of spatial computing. Standards are what make technology ubiquitous, and we know that the metaverse will need a constellation of standards from many different organizations versus the industry and multiple standards we know today. Open standards refers to shared specification between implementations. Open standards with rigorous conformance testing enable consistency across multiple implementations that can meet the needs of diverse markets and use case. Open source means shared implementation between contributors. Open standards often use open source to spread the implementation effort for tools, samples, conformance tests, and more. Many of the leading experts working towards standardization believe that we need to fight fragmentation at any cost, and that fragmentation kills industry confidence and adoption. The Metaverse Standards Forum, which I'm sure many of you are already members, provides a venue for cooperation between standards organizations and industry to foster the development of interoperability standards for an open and inclusive metaverse. While there are so many unanswered questions about the future, I believe a lot of our needs and requirements to be successful are already becoming clear. The metaverse will be more than social and entertainment. We must learn from the mistakes of Web 2 with accessibility and transparency built in from the ground up. Open 3D standards and open source implementations are a hard requirement for the metaverse to exist and empower our ability to share assets across different platforms, regions, and environments. And finally, real-time 3D content is the foundation of Web 3 and will require strategy, scalability, standard file types, civility, and governance. And we strongly believe that the 3D foundation we've built with Markson prepares us for success in whatever verse we want to work in next. Thank you.